March the 19th. It looks like being tonight. This morning the wind strengthened and visibility is down to maybe 200 metres. Humvees and trucks sit unmoving. The sound of the wind almost puts me in a trance. If you wanted to design a landscape to die in, this would be it. March the 20th. Tango Battery began their war with 5 rounds from each of their 6 155mm howitzers. The driver of our vehicle grinned wildly and flapped his arms like a bird. "Kill! Kill!" he chanted. This was the first time any of the battery had seen action, and he was flushed with schoolboy excitement. March the 22nd. The Marines told us they'd found several destroyed armoured personnel carriers. We were wary of these burned-out hulks, concerned about mines and unexploded shells. Scattered around, some RPGs, tunic tops, assorted pieces of kit and some helmets. Their helmets were pathetic affairs, made of plastic and painted grey. I picked one up. There was an emblem painted on the side in red, and the thumbprint of whoever had done it had been left behind. It suddenly seemed very personal. I placed it back on the ground. March the 23rd. I was keen to know how our colleagues were doing. I got out the Iridium phone. Bad news. Terry Lloyd from ITN and a cameraman are missing after their vehicle was fired on near Basra. I'd met Terry twice before and always found him to be very friendly and helpful, a true professional. I'm on the drive now and I have to record my awe at the size of the convoy we're passing on my right. It's truly huge. Tanks, Marine APCs known as Amtraks, trucks, artillery guns, Humvees, all streaming north towards, I assume, Baghdad. The gun barrels of the tanks have all been named. Big Payback, Zion, 8th Plague. March the 24th. I spoke with London and Anna Murray confirmed the death of Terry Lloyd. March the 25th. We pulled into a farm. The wind had picked up significantly and great clouds of dust whipped around us. Almost without noticing, an extraordinary thing happened. The world turned orange, truly orange. Visibility began to fall. Fire mission crackled over the airwaves, bustling down at the gun line. Conditions worsened. The wind became even stronger and the air colour became even brighter orange and seemed almost to pulsate. March the 27th. Sergeant McCarthy said he thought he could see some movement. Iraqis were advancing and preparing to attack. 2 Cobra gunships swung into view. One of them opened up. A sound like a buzzsaw told us the nose-mounted Gatling gun was firing. Then seconds later, 3 rockets raced away from its pods. The Marines yelled and whooped as if cheering a touchdown. First smoke, then fierce flames rose from the impact point. No one knew what they'd hit. From my position behind the trailer, I had neither seen anyone all afternoon nor heard any firing, except from the American side. March the 31st. There was no discernible movement at the buildings. Sergeant K kicked in the door. A startled young goat stared back from the interior. After a few seconds of rummaging, they emerged with an ancient bolt-action rifle. Back in the yard, more people appeared, driven forward by the Marines. They took their places squatting on the ground alongside those detained earlier. Among this new group were 3 women, all dressed in black. One of them was young, a teenager, and she bit her lip in fright. It was chilling to the soul. April the 1st. Tango Battery moved on, rolling past a small town. Times like this were always tense. I would stare at the gathered crowds from a long way off, trying to see any sudden or suspicious movements. I would wonder how quickly I could abandon our flimsy, canvas-sided Humvee and whether I could do it quicker than a rocket could travel. In the late afternoon, the battery began a barrage. I hadn't had time to put in my earplugs. For an instant, I was dazed by the tremendous concussion. It was like being punched in the head and the throat at exactly the same time. My ears rang and, truly and genuinely, my teeth rattled in my head. April the 3rd. Further down the road, we met lines of people walking towards us, apparently fleeing Baghdad. Many appeared jubilant upon seeing the US forces. "Bush, Blair, good," shouted one man, punctuating each word with a kiss in the air. "We want freedom. There is no freedom in Iraq, you understand?" Another man bellowed at me. I asked his name. He laughed and drew his hand across his throat. "You understand?" he said again. April the 8th. In the afternoon, General Jim Mattis, the overall commander of 1 Mardiv, gave a presser. He termed the foreign fighters morons and dogs.
In some cases, they didn't even have the manhood to go down fighting, but they surrendered after endangering these women and children, firing on us.
And said how these people lacked true manhood and hid behind the skirts of women. He was stumped, though, when a British newspaper reporter asked him if they found no weapons of mass destruction, what had the war been about? He floundered some answer about the smiles on the faces of the liberated people being reason and justification enough. April 9th. And the city fell, and I was in a truck, thick-coated in dust. 9 hours later, we were still there, after an increasingly aimless-seeming journey across the Diyala River, then up and down a country road time and time again. Have I ever been filthier in my life? We rolled out of our embed. Baghdad instantly felt like a different world. Gone was the cotton wool protection of the military. Now we were on our own. Now every gunshot made my hair stand on end. April 13th. We left Baghdad at 6:20 a.m. 10 hours later, we arrived at the Sheraton Hotel, Kuwait City. The only bother all trip had been an unpleasant scene with over-officious Kuwaiti border guards under orders to remove all items that bore the image of Saddam Hussein. It was over. I was preparing to go home.